Welcome, yogi, to this full body stretch, strengthen, and balance yoga class. This is actually a session I taught in the studio a few weeks ago, and several people loved it and asked me to make sure I wrote it down. And what better way to be able to share it than to put it here on video for you guys to do whenever you wish. So it has no particular peak pose as such, instead works in all areas of the body and is a lot of fun. So if you have a couple of yoga blocks, they're really useful for poses like your forward folds, if you're feeling tighter in your hamstrings. And a blanket might be useful as we do some kneeling poses also. So if you have any tenderness in your knees, make sure you've got a blanket close by too. We're going to begin in constructive rest. So lying down on your back. Just find the middle of your mat. Your knees bent. Your hands can rest either by your sides with the palms up or with your hands on your belly. And you can turn your toes in towards one another a little bit and let the knees fall in together. Check the alignment of your neck. If your chin is really high, tuck it down towards your chest a little. And begin to breathe in and out through your nose. Just arriving on your yoga mat today. Relax your shoulders and your low back. Begin to focus a little more on the breath, on the cultivation of ujjayi breathing. A slight constriction through the throat on the exhale to give you a soft sound. It'll carry you through your practice. It keeps bringing you back to focus. Commit to coming back to this full steady breath as often as you can through the class. It's okay if it gets lost at some points when you're applying effort to poses, but coming back to this calm, centered, full breath. Extend your arms out wide. Widen the knees. The feet can be about hips distance or even a little bit wider than that. And start to windshield wipe your knees side to side. So through an exhale, let both knees go to the left. As you breathe in, lift them up and let them go over to the right. Inhale to the center. Exhale to the left. To the middle. You can start to add head turns too, so as your knees go right, your head turns left. Inhale, rise up, look right as the knees go left. And again. Just another round. When you've completed that side on the right, bring the knees up to center and pause. Re-lengthen the low back. And then make sure you feel comfy there. And bring your right knee in and hold on to your right thigh. The left knee can stay bent or you can straighten that leg out. We're going to press your right foot towards the ceiling, so a hamstring stretch. Flex your foot and press it up. And bring your knee in on your exhale. Inhale, press your foot away. Exhale, pull it in. And two more, please. Gently pulling a foot towards the head end of a mat as much as you need to find the stretch. Now press the foot away. We'll just take a couple of breaths here in the hamstring stretch. Left knee bend is a little bit kind of to the low back in the hamstring. Left leg straight is a little bit more intense. And switch your grip to your shin, bend your right knee. Extend your left leg out, please, if it isn't already. And while you're here to hugging the knee in close, start to twirl your right foot around. You might draw circles or number 8s. Just move your ankle and go the opposite direction, please. Fantastic. Place your right foot on the floor with your knee bent a moment. Use that pressure to move your hips to the right, just an inch or 3, and pick up your right knee again. Pick up your right foot. Bring your right knee over and right foot to the left side, and stretch your right arm off the right. So now you're in a deeper twist than the windshield wipers earlier. And breathe here. You can use your left hand as a weight on the outer right knee, if you like. And we'll come back up to center. Place your right foot on the floor. Bring your hips back to the middle. Hug your left knee up and in, and hold on to your thigh. So your exhales, you squeeze in close. Your inhale, you flex your left foot and stretch it up to the ceiling. Bring it in. And on the other side, if you had already straightened your right leg out, you can do that on this side too. Just in and out. Stretching the hip flexors and then the calf and hamstring. And so the next time you extend your left foot up to the ceiling, gently pull it a little higher up towards the head end of your mat to deepen. You can stretch your right leg out straight if you wish. And breathe. And no force required, no expectations. Just notice the sensations you encounter. Welcome them, just recognize them just as that sensation. Simply be witness to them. No judgment necessary. Or bend the knee and switch your grip to your shin. You can extend your right leg out and start to move your left foot around. So circles or number 8s with your left foot, warming up your ankle. And be sure to go both ways. Your shoulders are relaxed. Place your left foot onto the floor. Move your hips to the left. Lift your left foot back up and guide it over to the right. So left knee and foot over to the right side. Your left arm can reach out to the left. Give your shoulders a little shimmy to get them under you. And look out to the left if that feels okay on your neck. And come back up to the middle. Bring your left foot back to the floor and use it to help you get centered. Slide your right heel in next to the left, so both feet are on the floor, and wiggle the heels close up to your bum. Place your hands on your mat next to your hips. We're going to press through all 4 corners of each foot and lift up the hips. Engage up through the glutes. Keep a feeling of spaciousness in the low back. You're coming into a bridge pose. And as you exhale, roll down upper back to middle back to lower back. And relax. Go again. Lift up, so a slight scoop of the tail, so the tailbone very gently earn towards the knees. Pick up, push through the feet and squeeze the back of the body strong. And lower down. Now you can continue to do this just as we're doing, or you can add an arm flow into it. So during the inhale, your hips are lifting, but as the hands are too. So lift the hands up to the ceiling and all the way over the top of your head. And so they meet the floor, or whatever's under your hands, when your hips are highest. And as you exhale, they come back and try to coordinate the movement so that the low back and bum land at the same time as your hands. As you inhale, the hands go up, You find the top of your bridge pose when the hands meet the floor. And then all the way back down, the hands find the floor at the same time as your bum. Do another couple of these, please, with your breath. Lovely. When you get down to the ground, relax entirely, take a deep breath. And pick up your knees, pull them in towards you, and rock up and down your spine a time or two until you come up to sitting and the soles of your feet go together. This is the first point at which you might opt for a blanket to assist you in your poses, where a little elevation in the hips can feel welcome. So soles of your feet together. Make sure that you have readjusted the pelvis to be tilting forward some and start to lean out into Baddha Konasana, stretching the inner thighs. The closer your feet are to you, the deeper you may feel the sensation of stretch. Sit up and we'll still focus on the inner thighs here. So the right foot stays really centered on your mat and your left foot goes off it at an angle. So rather than pulling the right foot to the inner left leg, we'll do that in a minute. We're going to keep it right in the middle there. Pick up the chest, pick up the hands, deep breath in, and start to lean out again, straight forwards over that right foot. Widening the hands can help you to help find a balance there, as can pointing through your left toes to give you a feeling of anchor through this left side. So there's quite a bit going on in this pose. The right knee can be pulling down. You can place a block under that knee if you have any tenderness or tightness in the knee or the hip. And you're bowing down. Your target area to stretch here, the inner thighs. And we'll sit up. Now we'll slide that right foot to the inner left leg, so more like a Janu Shasana. I'm going to sweep the right hand around to about a foot behind you. So you've got your left foot, hip, and hand all in a line with each other. Lift your left hand up to the ceiling and roll onto the right thigh more. So your left side of your bum will pick up. You can hold like this or do a knee wild thing. Pick up your hips. Think about external rotation in that right shoulder. So clockwise rotation in that right shoulder and open up through the whole left side of the body. Push your right shin into the floor. Keep your right hand gripping strongly and reach your left fingertips. We'll lower down, land lightly, and spin all the way around to Janu Shasana. So this right hand towards your left shin, knee, or foot. Take a lengthening inhale and deepening exhale. Another one of those, please. And back into that knee wild thing. Right hand behind you. Pick up your hips, lift up, open up. Think clockwise rotation of the right shoulder. You shouldn't feel any trapping or pinching if it doesn't feel great. Take the seated version just for now. And we'll sit down and sweep it around into Janu Shasana again. Right hand towards any part of the left leg or the floor and fold down. Hamstring focus, calf focus. Good. Sit your way up. Reset the feet back into Baddha Konasana, so the soles of the feet together. Sitting up straight, you'll extend the right foot off at an angle. Both hands go up, breathe in, point your right toes, pull your left knee down a bit, and start to lean straight out over the left foot. And if you need some support under the left knee, that's fine. And we'll come up. Now your left foot does come to the inner right thigh. Sweep your left hand around so it's about a foot away from your bum, there or thereabouts. You'll roll onto the left thigh. You can push through the left hand and lift the right one up. This is good to hold here or to pick up the hips and make it like a wild thing, Kamakkarasana. The left shoulder is externally rotating, so anti-clockwise through that left upper arm to make space. Pause here for an inhale, lift up, open up, and spin your way down. And into Janu Shasana, fold over the right leg. You can hold any part of the leg or the hands can be on the floor. Good, we'll spin it back around, left hand to the floor, hips up, hand over head. Make it feel interesting. Explore what this pose could be to you today. And I'll sit down and make it back into that hamstring stretch. Slightly pull your right hip back into its socket. Wiggle around a bit if you need to, so you can make it comfortable in Janu Shasana. Sit your way up. Cross your legs. I'm going to go left in front of right. Now, it depends on which way you'd like to face on your mat here. I'm ready to turn around. If you would rather face the other way, you're going to come forwards to down dog. I'm going to reach my right hand around and spin up to down dog. So however you get there, make your way into a downward facing dog, facing the way of your preference, and pedal your legs. So just get some movement through the backs of the calves, the hamstrings. Remember to keep your shoulders elevated in your down dog. Remember to keep them strong. Hands quite wide often helps with that. Okay, so we're going to begin our standing series flow for a little bit of everything. We'll start with right foot up to the ceiling, square-hipped three-legged dog. So squeeze that right leg high and sink into your left heel. Keep your shoulders elevated, pushing into the ground, and look at your left foot. Keep your face relaxed. Look forwards and step your right foot up to the front of your mat. Drop your back knee down onto the mat. So this might be where you choose to put a blanket under your left knee for comfort. And circle both hands up overhead. Anjaneyasana or low lunge. We'll sink down through the hips, stretching the left hip flexor. And reach up and back through the hands to stretch into the front of the body and shoulders. Bring your hands forwards. Make fists. And pull your right hand back like you're pulling the string of a bow into an archer's twist. So really strong through that right shoulder. Turn the whole torso and look back over your right forearm. Come back to your Ujjayi breathing. Reach your right hand forwards. Both hands go up again, back into your lower lunge. Sink your hips down, squeeze the left glutes active. Ardha Hanumanasana, stretch your right leg out straight. So I grab my blocks to demo with this one for the hamstring stretch. Flex your right foot and put your blocks, if you have them, right under your shoulders. So they're simply extensions of your arms. You do not have to use your blocks. You could be quite comfortable in our Ardha Hanuman without. But use them if you feel some tightness so you can keep your back from overly rounding. You want to try and avoid too much rounding in your back. Good. Bend into the front knee. With or without blocks, you can tuck the back toes and lift your left knee up. So now you're in a runner's lunge. Press your left heel back and reach your right knee forwards. Your hands are on the floor or your blocks there. It's like the top of your head is reaching forwards, the shoulders are reaching back, the left heel is reaching back, just feeling those opposites that stretch through the left hip, or front of the left leg, should I say. And we'll stand forwards, left ankle, crossing behind the right at the top of your mat. So cross-legged forward fold now to get into the outside of the left leg. Lengthen out on your in-breath, come into a halfway lift, exhale and fold. Blocks are useful in this too. If your hamstrings are on the tighter side, they will really help. Soften your knees a tiny bit, come up to standing. Both hands sweep up overhead. One big sweep up on an inhale, interlace all but the first finger, so a Kali Mudra. Lift the hands, lift the shoulders, and reach to the right as you exhale. Side body stretch and bit of balance here. Come back up. Exhale, dive back down. Halfway lift, inhale. Hands down and step your left foot to the back again. Walk your right foot to the outside of your mat and drop your back knee down, coming into Uttam Prasthasana, a lizard pose. Let your right knee go wide, so you're stretching your glutes more now. And you can stay on your hands or come down to your forearms. The blocks are a nice middle point of that if you want to come halfway. Take some deep breaths. Wonderful. Come back up onto your hands if you went lower. Tuck your left toes and lift the knee. Float your right foot up and back into your three-legged dog. This time bend your knee and open up through your hip as you still sink your left heel. Your right hand might start to get lighter. You keep it glued to the mat and reach your right knee away from you to get a stretch. And come back up on an in-breath. Toes down, exhale. Knees down to the mat. Sit back on your feet, toe stretch. So that's all 10 toes, even little toe. Getting a stretch here. And while we're stretching them, we'll take the arms out wide and wrap your right arm underneath your left for an eagle wrap. Now, if the eagle is a little intense for your shoulders, holding them is perfectly fine too. Both of them stretching through the back of the shoulders. Relax your jaw. Take your hands behind you, interlace behind your low back, and squeeze your shoulder blades together now, stretching across your front. Still stretching your toes. And release your hands to prayer. You're going to shift your weight, your balance now onto your toes. I'm going to bring my feet a little bit closer together. Pick up the knees. Whoop, and find toe balance. So find a point for your eyes, one single point of balance. And rather than feeling heavy and sinking, can you almost feel like you're rising? So you're really using the strength of your legs to stabilize. You have some Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor lift, and slight corset of the waist and Uddiyana Bandha and the ribs. Another deep breath here. Well done, yogis. Now your blocks are a long way away, I'm afraid, if you need them for your fold. But we're going to come up and into a forward fold. Grab them if you need them. Separate your feet to a hip's distance. And take your regular Uttanasana, forward fold. Feel like the inner thighs are gently pulling back, that your tailbone is lifting. Wonderful. Lift up halfway. Fold back down. Circle your hands up to the ceiling. Bring them to your heart through your exhale. Come into tree pose with your right foot lifted. So right foot up onto the left thigh. Now it could be actually calf or even toes on the ground, should I mention that. And open the right knee wide. So you have this simultaneous pull of the right knee back as the left hip is also pulling back. So you're strong in your thighs. Left leg strong. We'll take both arms out to the sides. And to work our balance a little more today, have your thumbs facing upwards. You're looking straight ahead to begin with. I'd like for you to experiment. Be playful. If your balance is tricky here, keep your head straight forwards and work that. If it feels okay, look to the right, to your right thumb. It's okay to wobble and step out. And if you get to the right thumb, bring your head back to center and look to the left thumb. And if you get that, turn back to center and look back to the right thumb. If you get that to center, one more time to the left thumb. Use your ujjayi breath, come back to center. If you're still holding your balance and you're breathing and you feel safe, so try and close your eyes. All right, yogis, well done. Hands come in, release your foot, give your left foot a wiggle for a second. Take both hands up, fold forwards. Lift up halfway. Walk this out to a plank. So full length plank. Now you have choices here. I'll give you a really quick demo. Left knee could come down and come into a side plank. If you are protecting your shoulders, your wrists, or currently building up the strength towards a stacked foot side plank. So that's a great side plank. Alternatively, come onto the outside of your left foot and stack both feet on top of each other. Drive the left hand into the mat and grip your fingers. Take your right one up. Keep flexing both feet. We have a little more. If you're here and you're breathing, put your right foot back into tree pose on that right leg, low or high. Working your strength here for 5. Breathe, yogis, 4. Looking down is the most balanced. Looking up is even more challenging. 3, 2, and 1. Spin down to the mat. You can be on your knees. If you have tree pose, keep it. So you're in plank with that tree pose. Keep the outer right knee picking up to the ceiling, even more strength there needed. Try a chaturanga push-up, shift forwards, lower down halfway. Press it up. And in a regular vinyasa, you can release your right foot, lower down, chaturanga to cobra, or an upward facing dog if that's feeling good. And back down. Now we're going to lie all the way on the front, hands on under the shoulders, elbows relatively close to the body, and pull forwards and up with the heart coming into a cobra. And soften down. Go again, lift up for a cobra. So it's like the chest is pulling forwards, the hands are pulling back. Soften down. Another time. And soften down. Press it back, strong to plank or knee plank, and downward facing dog. Take a deep breath, yogis, you're doing great. Left foot can fly high. Keep it square for right now. Sink through your right heel. Elevate your shoulder blades, and then lift the left leg a little bit higher if you can. Step your left foot forwards, walk it up to the front of the mat and drop your back knee down onto the floor or your blankets. And lift up both hands overhead, low lunge. Gently sinking down towards the left heel gradually. Really active through your fingertips. Both hands go forwards, make fists, and pull your left hand back into a twist. So you're using the strength of your torso to twist you, rather than any leverage from the arms. Sometimes we'll grab onto the knee and pull ourselves into it. This is all strength and mobility. Good. Come back into your as your regular lunge, Hands go up, hips sink low. Bit of a back bend feeling. And into half Hanuman. Fold over the left leg. Grab your blocks if you feel some tension so that you can keep your back in great alignment. That's pretty straight rather than rounded. Strong flex those left foot towards your shin. And deep breaths. Shift forwards and into a runner's lunge. So hands on the floor or low blocks. Press your right heel back. Think crown forwards, heel back, hips quite low but strong, like your left knee is pulling forwards to create that stretch. Step forwards, cross-legged forward fold at the top of your mat. Right ankle behind left. Do a little halfway lift to create the alignment in your spine again, slightly lifting your tailbone up and back down into that fold. Both big toes or big toe mounds anchored onto the floor. Sweep your hands up overhead, stand up tall, interlace both hands together, all but the first finger, and reach to the left, please. Yogis. Side body stretch. Whole right side getting some movement here, or getting some stretch, should I say. Come back up. Dive it back down into your fold. Lift up halfway. And step your right foot back. Walk your left foot all the way to the outside of your mat and lower your right knee down. So we're back into stretching for a moment in Uttan Prasthasana, your lizard pose. Left knee going out wide to stretch your glutes more. You can remain on your hands. You can explore to go into blocks or down to the floor with your forearms if that feels available. Okay, climb back up onto your hands if you did go lower. Move your blocks out of your way if you were using them. And tuck your right toes and pick up your right knee. Float your left foot up to a three-legged dog, and this time it's an open hip one, so you'll bend your left knee and reach your left toes as far to the right as you can. It's like your left knee wants to get as far away from your left little finger as it possibly can. We'll square it back up and lower your left foot down to downward facing dog. Lower your knees down to a blanket or the floor and sit back onto your heels, back into your toe stretch. All 10 toes, even the little one, you might have to get it to tuck under there a little bit for you and sit up tall. Extend your arms out wide. While we're here, we stretch the shoulders. Wrap your left arm under right and either hold the opposite shoulder or wrap your left fingers into right palm into a Garudasana arms, eagle arms. And release your hands to clasp behind you. Just a couple more breaths. You can release the toes at any time if it gets too intense. Bring your hands to prayer. We're going to try for toe balance again, another balancing pose. So you'll rock the knees up so you end up balanced on your toes. You can have a block either side of you, like training wheels on a bike if you need them. And rather than feeling that downwards energy, like I said on the other side, give everything kind of a tiny lift so you're really strong in your balance, strengthening the ankles, the calves, the quads. Also, you have that Mula Bandha, still rising energy. Great alignment through the neck and shoulders. A little lift in the corners of the mouth maybe. Fantastic yogi, heels down, hands down, hips up and separate your feet. Reach for your blocks if you need them. Forward fold. Lift up halfway, reset, and fold down. Take both hands up. Big stretch to the ceiling. Hands to your heart. Vrikshasana, tree pose on the other side now. So we balance on our right foot. Left foot can be toes on the ground, can be foot to calf, or can be foot to thigh. You'll start perhaps with the hands at prayer while you make sure you've got some balance, and extend the arms out wide. That may even help. So thumbs are up today. Engage, firm up through the right leg. Set your eyes on a spot in front of you and breathe. Now, if it's feeling a little wobbly today, quite challenging, keep your head straight ahead. If you feel like you've got some balance going on and you'd like to challenge it even more, start to look side to side. So you'll look to your left thumb and then to your right thumb. So a pretty fluid movement side to side. And through center to your left. And the gaze all the way through center to the right. And back to the middle now. If you managed a couple of glances side to side and you are still balancing and you're still breathing and you want even more, experiment with closing your eyes. Okay, open your eyes, bring your hands in and release your left foot down. Give your right foot a moment to recover. Take both hands up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. If you're using your blocks, move them out of your way and walk your way forwards again into a plank. So this is where we move into our side plank, and I gave you that option on that first side. It applies here too. A knee side plank is wonderful. So feel free to drop the right knee down and come into knee side plank. If it feels appropriate for you to stack your feet, roll onto the outside of a right foot, left foot on top of right. So either of those options. Another option is to pick up that left foot and place it back into tree pose if that feels good. Grip your right hand. Looking down is great for balance. Looking up is a bit more challenging. So 3. Keep breathing, yogis. Keep the hips up. 2. Embrace any shakes, any wobbles. And 1, we're going to come back to plank. And if you have your tree pose, try to keep your tree pose. So spin onto your right toes. Keep that left outer knee picked up to the sky. Go for a chaturanga push-up from the knees if you need to put them both down, or with this tree or plank halfway down. Press it back up, release, regular vinyasa, cobra, upward facing dog, and all the way down to the mat, nice and gentle. Last time we did cobras. You're welcome to do cobras again if you like, or hands by the side of you. Pick up the chest, pick up the hands, and pick up the feet. So you're coming to Shalabhasana for 5. I tend to look too far forwards in this pose, so always have to readjust and look at the mat. Just check in with that for yourself too, if you're kind of cricking your neck forwards. Lift everything up a little more, and soften down, rest your head on your hands. And we'll go back in again. Now, if you have a reach, you could clasp your hands behind your low back rather than flying your arms. So option 1, hands by the sides. Option 2, interlace your fingers at your low back. We pick it up again. Chest up, head up, neck long. Pick up your feet and then try and be as high as you can. For 5. Breathe, yogis. 4, 3, 2, give it another little squeeze. And 1, soften down, rest your head, look the other way. Hands under your shoulders. Press your way up to your knees. And so we're going to do a series of front body stretches. If you prefer cushioning under your knees, that might be useful. And so we'll start out in Anahata Asana, or puppy pose. So with the hips over the knees or slightly in front of, walk your hands out quite wide. On your exhale, start to soften down. So your chest, forehead, chin towards the floor, tailbone tilting up. On your inhale, slightly scoop the tailbone down, pull up the belly and slight tuck of your chin. Do that twice more. Exhale, lift up the tailbone and drop the chest. Inhale, come out a little bit. Last one will hold, so softening down, forehead, chin or chest on the floor for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming out by tucking the tail, tucking your chin, pulling the belly up and walking the hands in. Reach your right hand across you. Rest your shoulder down and the side of your head down. So coming in to thread the needle. And reach your left hand forwards, if you can, and to the top right. Creep it over to the right side. So a nice twist for your shoulders and upper back. And we'll bring the left hand back under the shoulder, the right hand back under the shoulder, back to table. And the same thing on the other side. Thread your left arm across, rest down your arm, your shoulder, your hand, the side of your head. Reach your right hand forwards and to the top left side. Just creep it over there. A little hug of the hips to the left. And bring your right hand back gradually to under the shoulder, back to where you started in your tabletop. And let's go one more time into puppy pose. The hands walking out, forehead, chin or chest to the floor. Breathe. Carefully come out. Remember, chin tucks, tail tucks, belly pulls up. And come up to tabletop, little round, chin to chest. And sit back onto your heels. So we'll take a couple of camel poses, Ustrasana. Let's do half camels first. I believe they're a little bit more accessible for most of us to test, and then we'll have an option for both-handed camel afterwards. So come up with your hips over your knees. I've mentioned a couple of times already that blanket underneath the knees might be welcome. This is another point at which it might feel really good. So blanket under your knees and tuck your toes so your heels are high. If you're very backbendy, you don't have to do this, but this is great for most of us to test. And so we'll start with both hands forwards. Reach your right hand around for the right heel and keep your left hand forwards so it kind of keeps pulling forwards as you get your fingertips to hold on to your right heel. Keep your hips quite far forwards if you can. It's okay if they drop back, but as you get into the pose to feel spacious, you want to pull them forwards and up. And spin your left hand across to the right. You'll look down and right, and then over the top of your head. And as it goes over the top, the palm opens up to the side of the room. You square your chest to the ceiling, and you end up in a version of Ustrasana. The right hand supporting you on the heel. The glutes are slightly engaged, your hips moving towards the front of your space there. Resist the urge to let your head drop back. Either look at the ceiling or keep it slightly tucked. Come out the way you came in. Take your left hand over to the right, all the way back up. And sit on your heels for a moment. Take a deep breath. And we'll come back up. Let's try your other side. So we've got toes tucked, both hands forwards. We're going to reach left hand for left foot. And so you can lean back a bit. It's okay to drop back some to get that. But to the best of your ability, then re-press the hips forwards. You can hold here, or if it feels available, right hand to the left side until it comes all the way over the top of your head. And try to square-ish to the ceiling so the right shoulder drops, the hips move forwards. Make sure you can still breathe. If you're holding your breath, it's a sign you're a little too far into the pose for today. Strong neck or tucked chin. Come out the way you came in, right hand to the left, all the way back to the center, and sit onto your heels. So let's do one more version of Ustrasana with both hands this time. So we'll start with the knees under us, hips over knees. Tuck your toes. If you know you can do camel with the feet flat, you're welcome to skip the tuck of the toes and take the feet flat. So we'll go in 2 variations of this. You can go further if you prefer. Hands to the low back, fingers pointing downwards. Squeeze your elbows in and think about lifting your chest up and keeping your hips forwards over the knees. So you can start here. This is a great place to hold. Some back bending going on, but generally feels quite safe and strong. If you feel comfortable here and you're breathing and you want to try reaching both hands back, reach one hand at a time back towards the heels. And then squeeze your shoulder blades and lift the hips forwards. Same head position, so it's not dropping back. Like I say, if you have a deeper pose where your feet are flat, you're welcome to take that. Just another deep breath. And we'll come out carefully. Hands to low back, push back up. And we'll sit back onto the heels. Just get back into your Ujjayi breathing, nice deep breaths. Just notice how you're feeling too. Having moved quite a bit. We will start to wind down a little bit. We'll begin with a nice shoulder stretch to counter that camel pose. If you do not have a blanket for this pose, in fact, I'll give you 2 options anyway, because there's a couple of instances where you might want to change this pose up. So if you're okay in child's pose, generally, I'm going to take your blanket and fold it up into thirds or quarters, so there's somewhere for your head to rest, and there's a gap here between your knees and your blanket. This is going to target the outside of or the back of the shoulder and give us a nice counter pose. So as you come into your child's pose, you'll be threading your right arm across and resting the side of your head down onto the blanket. Your left hand stretches forwards and your left shoulder melts down to stretch the right side of the right shoulder, should I say. Now, I promised a variation because child's pose just is funky for some people. And if your hips are quite high in child's pose, it pitches you too far forwards for this to be a comfortable pose. So if you feel like that's just not relaxing, which is the goal in that pose, to be relaxing, come to lying on your front and mimic everything else the same about the pose. So without the blanket, you'll thread your right arm across you, your left arm forwards, and rest down. So you're still stretching the back of your right shoulder. So there's 2 options of this pose. Hopefully you've made your way into one of them, or you're experimenting with both. But the back of the right shoulder stretch, either lying on your front or in child's pose. Just a few more breaths. And you can start to come out and switch to your other side. So whichever pose you're in, whether you're lying on your front or you're in this child's pose variation. If you're in that child's pose, it's a threaded arm between your knee and your blanket. Look to the right and rest the side of your head down. And start to come out, yogis, bit by bit. You can move your blanket to be a pillow if you like. We're going to switch our position to lying down on our backs. And just hug your knees in. This is another sweet counter pose to those final poses we had in our flow of camels, which are wonderful front body openers. Just a gentle rock of your knees side to side to bring you back into balance. And find stillness, either hands around the shins or wrapped around the thighs. If you like happy baby pose, that's a nice option right here for the next 2 or 3 breaths. And let's release and put the feet on the floor. Stretch your arms out wide. Move your hips slightly to the left. And both knees over to the left in a twist. Take a simple twist. If you want something more intense, you could wrap the legs around each other. But you've put plenty of effort into your practice. Maybe a wonderfully simple twist is the best way to complete it. Come back up to center and let both legs switch and go to the right. So that's hips to the left, knees to the right. And come back up to center. Find the middle of your mat. If you like a bolster for Shavasana underneath your knees or your rolled blanket underneath your knees, you can place that there now. Even a blanket over you for comfort. Let's settle in for a few minutes of Shavasana. Let the arms just rest out by your sides. Take as much room up as you like. If there's any way you could relax your legs even a little bit more. If there's any way you could soften your belly. or into your shoulders and down your arms. See if the jaw can relax even a tiny bit, some space between your teeth. Invite your eyes to become soft and still. Allow yourself these few moments of stillness to complete your practice. If you would like a little bit longer in Shavasana, you're welcome to stay here. And if you're ready to continue with your day, start to open and close the hands. So as you inhale, you stretch out your fingers as big as they'll go. As you exhale, you'll make fists, scrunch them tight. Do that with your hands and your feet. On the next inhale, spread out your toes and your fingers. And exhale, scrunch up your toes and your hands. Make this a whole body movement. Out with the arms, the fingers, the toes. And then bring the knees up and in. Roll to your side for a moment. And all the way up to your seat. When you get to your seat, place your hands together in front of you. Express to yourself a feeling of gratitude for coming to your mat today and for all of your efforts. And let's breathe in. and out. Thank you for your practice, yogi. Namaste. If you enjoy these practices, please remember to like and subscribe.